Do you honestly think parking laws apply to someone like me? Those words echo through Providence Municipal Court on a Tuesday morning. The woman who said them stands near the defendant's table. Her name is Victoria Harrington. She's 38 years old. She's wearing a cream-colored Chanel suit. The jacket alone costs $4,800. Diamond earrings catch the light every time she moves her head. A Hermes Birkin bag sits on the table in front of her. That bag costs more than a new car. Her left hand shows off a wedding ring with a rock the size of a grape. On her wrist, a platinum Cartier watch gleams. She looks around the courtroom like she's inspecting a hotel room that doesn't meet her standards. Judge Frank Caprio sits at the bench. His eyes are kind but firm. He's seen thousands of cases. Rich people, poor people, angry people, scared people. But something about this one feels different. If you believe justice should be equal for everyone, you'll want to see what happens next. The bailiff steps forward. He's a tall man with gray hair. His voice is clear and strong. Case 2026, MV 10384. The State versus Victoria Harrington. Illegal parking in designated handicap space. Additional charge of obstruction. Judge Caprio looks at his papers. Then he looks at Victoria. Mrs. Harrington, good morning. Do you understand the charges against you? Victoria doesn't answer right away. She's looking at her phone. Her thumb scrolls. Her face shows no emotion, like she's checking the weather. Mrs. Harrington. The judge's voice is a little louder now. She glances up. Barely. Yes. I understand. Can we make this quick? I have a luncheon at noon. People in the courtroom shift in their seats. A woman in the back row raises her eyebrows. A man in a suit shakes his head slowly. The judge keeps his voice calm. Mrs. Harrington, please put your phone away. This is a court of law. Victoria sighs. It's a long, dramatic sigh, like a teenager being asked to clean her room. She drops the phone into her purse. Fine. Happy now? Before the judge can respond, another person enters the courtroom. A woman in a wheelchair rolls herself down the aisle. Her name is Elena Vasquez. She's 52 years old. She's wearing navy blue scrubs, the kind nurses wear. There's a name tag pinned to her chest. Elena Vasquez, RN, St. Mary's Hospital. Her face looks tired. Deep lines around her eyes. Her hands grip the wheels of her chair. You can see calluses on her palms. Years of pushing herself around. Years of working. Years of fighting. Elena parks her wheelchair in the designated area. She folds her hands in her lap. She looks straight ahead. Her jaw is tight. Judge Caprio notices her. Ms. Vasquez, thank you for being here. We'll hear from you shortly. Elena nods. She doesn't smile. Her eyes are red, like she's been crying, or like she hasn't slept. Victoria glances at Elena. Her lip curls. Just a little. Just enough to notice. The judge begins. Mrs. Harrington, you're here because on January 10th, 2026, at approximately 2:15 p.m., you parked your vehicle in a handicapped parking space outside Brighton Medical Plaza. You did not have a handicapped placard. You did not have a permit. The space you took was the only handicapped spot in that row. Is this correct? Victoria waves her hand, like she's swatting a fly. It was only for 20 minutes. Maybe less. I was picking up a prescription. The other spots were too far from the door. I was wearing heels. Someone in the courtroom actually gasps. A young man in the third row puts his hand over his mouth. Judge Caprio's face doesn't change. Mrs. Harrington, those spaces exist for a reason. They're protected by law. People with disabilities need them. Victoria laughs. Not a big laugh. A small, cold one. Oh, come on. It's not like anyone was using it. The lot was half empty. Someone was trying to use it, the judge says. He looks at Elena. Ms. Vasquez, would you like to tell us what happened that day? Elena takes a breath. Her voice is quiet at first, but it's steady. I work at St. Mary's Hospital. I'm a registered nurse. I've been a nurse for 28 years. I was in a car accident 4 years ago. A drunk driver hit me on Route 95. I broke my spine. 7 vertebra. That means I can't walk anymore. I use this wheelchair every day. Victoria examines her nails. She's not even looking at Elena. Elena continues. January 10th was my day off. I don't get many of those. I had a doctor's appointment at Brighton Medical Plaza. I got there at 2:20 p.m. My appointment was at 2:30. I drove around looking for the handicapped spot. I finally found it. But there was a car in it. A white Range Rover. No placard. No permit. Nothing. The judge nods. What did you do? I waited, Elena says. I sat in my van for 15 minutes. I watched the entrance. Finally, I saw her come out. Elena points at Victoria. She was carrying a small bag. She walked to the Range Rover. I rolled down my window. I said, "Excuse me, ma'am. That's a handicapped spot. I really need it." Do you know what she said to me? The courtroom is completely silent. You could hear a pin drop. Elena's voice gets quieter. She said, "Then you should have gotten here earlier." Then she got in her car and drove away. I missed my appointment. I had to reschedule for 3 weeks later. I needed that appointment. I needed my pain medication adjusted. I've been in constant pain for 3 weeks because of her. A tear rolls down Elena's cheek. She wipes it away quickly, like she's embarrassed. Victoria finally looks up. "Oh, please. You're being dramatic. You got another appointment. What's the big deal?" The courtroom erupts. Not loud, but you can hear it. Whispers. Sharp breaths. Someone says, "Are you kidding me?" Judge Caprio raises his hand. "Order, please." He looks at Victoria. His eyes are harder now. "Mrs. Harrington, I suggest you think very carefully before you speak again." Victoria crosses her arms. "What? I'm just being honest. People are so sensitive these days." The judge takes a deep breath. "Let's look at the evidence. Officer Morrison, please approach." A police officer stands up from the back. His uniform is crisp. His badge shines. He walks to the front and stands near the witness area. "Your Honor." "Officer Morrison, you were the responding officer that day. Can you tell us what happened?" Officer Morrison pulls out a small notebook. "Yes, Your Honor. At 2:47 p.m. on January 10th, I received a call about a parking violation at Brighton Medical Plaza. When I arrived, Ms. Vasquez was still in her van. She was crying. She explained what had happened. I checked the security footage from the plaza. The cameras clearly show Mrs. Harrington's Range Rover parked in the handicapped spot from 2:14 p.m. to 2:32 p.m. 18 minutes. The footage also shows Ms. Vasquez arriving at 2:20 p.m. and waiting." "Did you speak to Mrs. Harrington?" the judge asks. "I did, Your Honor. I called the number on the vehicle registration." Mrs. Harrington answered. "I explained the violation. I asked her to come back to receive citation. She refused." "What did she say exactly?" Judge Caprio leans forward. Officer Morrison looks uncomfortable. "She said, and I quote, 'I don't have time for this nonsense. Do you know who my husband is? He's the governor of this state. You're making a big mistake.' Then she hung up." The whispers get louder. A woman near the front shakes her head. Her face is angry. Victoria's lawyer, a nervous-looking man in a gray suit, stands up. "Your Honor, my client was under stress that day. She didn't mean." "Sit down, counselor," Judge Caprio says. Not meanly, but firmly. "I'll hear from you later." The lawyer sits. He looks like he wants to disappear. The judge looks at Victoria. "Mrs. Harrington, is Officer Morrison telling the truth? Did you say those things?" Victoria shrugs. "Maybe. I don't remember. I was busy. Too busy to follow the law." "Look," Victoria says. Her voice gets sharper. "I had to pick up my husband's prescription. He needed it. The pharmacy said it was ready. I drove over. I parked in the closest spot. I ran in. I ran out. That's it. I don't see why this is such a big deal. It's just a parking spot." "It's not just a parking spot," the judge says. "It's a spot reserved for people who need it. People like Ms. Vasquez." Victoria rolls her eyes. Actually rolls them. "Whatever. Can I just pay the fine and leave? I'll write a check right now. Name your price." The room goes cold. You can feel it. The temperature drops 10 degrees. Judge Caprio stares at her. For a long moment, he doesn't say anything. Then, quietly, he asks, "Did you just try to bribe this court?" Victoria realizes her mistake. Her face changes. "What? No. I just meant, isn't that how this works? You charge a fine. I pay it. We all go home." "That's not how this works," the judge says. "And even if it were, you're missing the point entirely. This isn't about money, Mrs. Harrington." "Then what's it about?" Victoria's voice rises. She's getting frustrated now. "I made a mistake. Fine. I'll pay for the mistake. Can we move on?" Judge Caprio shakes his head slowly. "You still don't understand. Let me ask you something, Mrs. Harrington. Have you ever had to struggle? Have you ever had to choose between paying rent or buying groceries? Have you ever worked 2 jobs just to keep the lights on? Victoria blinks. What does that have to do with anything? Answer the question. No, Victoria says. I haven't. I've been fortunate. My family has money. I married well. I've never had to worry about those things. I see, the judge says. And do you think that makes you special? Do you think that puts you above the law? Victoria hesitates. You can see her thinking, trying to figure out the right answer. Finally, she says, I think it makes things different. For people like me. The courtroom explodes. Not literally, but the energy is electric. People are leaning forward. Eyes are wide. Someone mutters, I can't believe she just said that. Judge Caprio raises his hand again. Mrs. Harrington, I want you to listen very carefully to what I'm about to say. Can you do that? Victoria nods. She looks uncertain for the first time. But before the judge can continue, Victoria's phone buzzes. Loud. Everyone hears it. She reaches for her purse. Don't, the judge says. Don't you dare. Victoria freezes. Her hand is halfway to her bag. Leave it, Judge Caprio says. Victoria pulls her hand back. But she looks annoyed. It could be my husband. He's very busy. He needs to reach me. Your husband can wait, the judge says. This court cannot. Victoria's face flushes. You can't talk to me like that. Do you know who I am? Do you know what kind of power my husband has? One phone call and you'll... She stops. She realizes she's gone too far. Judge Caprio's face is stone. One phone call, and I'll what, Mrs. Harrington? Finish that sentence. Victoria's lawyer jumps up. Your Honor, my client is clearly emotional. She's not thinking straight. Can we take a brief recess? No, the judge says. Mrs. Harrington, finish what you were saying. Victoria's mouth opens, then closes. She looks trapped, like an animal in a corner. Finally, she says, nothing. I wasn't going to say anything. Yes, you were, the judge says. You were going to threaten me. You were going to use your husband's position to intimidate this court. Is that correct? Silence. Is that correct? The judge's voice is louder now. Victoria looks at her lawyer. He won't meet her eyes. She looks at the bailiff. He's staring straight ahead. She looks at Elena. Elena is watching her with sad eyes. Not angry, just sad. Finally, Victoria says, maybe, yes. I guess I was. Thank you for your honesty, Judge Caprio says. Now, let me tell you what happens next. Clerk, please note that the defendant has admitted to attempting to use her husband's political position to influence these proceedings. Add that to the record. The clerk types quickly. Her fingers fly across the keyboard. Judge Caprio isn't done. Let me also note the multiple phone calls this court has received in the past 48 hours. Calls from the governor's office. Calls from state representatives. Calls from people I've never heard of, all asking me to dismiss this case. All suggesting that Mrs. Harrington deserves special treatment. Victoria's face goes pale. Actual color drains from her cheeks. I have a file here, the judge continues. He picks up a folder. It's thick. This file contains printouts of text messages. Messages from Mrs. Harrington to her friends. Messages sent on January 10th, the day of the incident. Let me read one to you. He opens the folder. He pulls out a paper. This text was sent at 2:38 p.m., 6 minutes after Mrs. Harrington left the medical plaza. It says, just got yelled at by some woman in a wheelchair for taking her precious parking spot. LOL. Like I care. Called the cops on me. As if that matters. I'm untouchable. The courtroom isn't just silent now. It's frozen. Nobody moves. Nobody breathes. Judge Caprio looks up from the paper. He looks directly at Victoria. LOL. Like I care. I'm untouchable. Did you write that, Mrs. Harrington? Victoria's hands are shaking. That was private. That was my personal phone. How did you? Ms. Vasquez's lawyer subpoenaed your phone records, the judge says. And before you ask, yes, it's legal. You parked illegally. You obstructed an officer. When you involve attorneys and try to make this go away, the other side gets to fight back. Victoria looks like she might be sick. Her skin has a green tint. Let me read another one, the judge says. He flips a page. This text was sent at 3:02 p.m. Same day. It says, don't worry about that parking thing. Already had someone call it in. It'll disappear. Perks of being married to power. Did you write that? No answer. Did you write that, Mrs. Harrington? Yes, she whispers. I can't hear you. Yes. Victoria's voice cracks. Yes, I wrote it. So what? I was venting to a friend. People say stupid things in texts all the time. Stupid things, yes, the judge agrees. But these aren't just stupid things. These are admissions. These are proof that you knew what you did was wrong. And you didn't care. Because you thought you were untouchable. Victoria's lawyer stands again. Your Honor, I really must object. Overruled. Sit down. Judge Caprio doesn't even look at him. The judge turns to the gallery. I want everyone here to understand something. This case is not just about a parking spot. It's about something much bigger. It's about whether we have one system of justice for the rich and another for everyone else. It's about whether having money or power means you can ignore the rules the rest of us have to follow. He turns back to Victoria. Mrs. Harrington, I'm going to ask you some questions. And I want honest answers. Do you understand? Victoria nods. She looks small now. Not physically, but inside. Like she's shrinking. First question. Do you know what it's like to live with a disability? No. Do you know what it's like to need something as simple as a parking spot and not be able to get it because someone took it? No. Do you know what it's like to be in constant pain? To need medication? To have to wait weeks for relief because someone was too selfish to follow a simple rule? Victoria's eyes fill with tears. No. Do you know what it's like to work as a nurse? To help people every single day? To come home exhausted? To push yourself in a wheelchair because some drunk driver took away your ability to walk? No. Victoria's voice is barely audible. Then let me tell you, Judge Caprio says. His voice is gentle now. Not angry. Sad. Ms. Vasquez has been a nurse for 28 years. She's helped thousands of people. She's saved lives. When she was hit by that drunk driver, she was on her way home from a double shift at the hospital. She'd worked 16 hours straight. She was tired. But she was driving carefully, following the rules. And then someone who wasn't following the rules destroyed her life in 1 second. Elena is crying now. Tears stream down her face. She doesn't try to hide them. After the accident, Ms. Vasquez spent 8 months in the hospital. She had 6 surgeries. She had to learn how to do everything all over again. Getting dressed, going to the bathroom, moving from her bed to her wheelchair. Things you and I don't think about, Mrs. Harrington. Things we take for granted. Victoria is crying too now. Mascara runs down her cheeks. When Ms. Vasquez finally got out of the hospital, she went back to work. Because she loves being a nurse. Because she loves helping people. But now she has to do it from a wheelchair. She has to push herself through hospital hallways. She has to lift herself up to examine patients. She has to deal with constant pain. Every single day. The judge pauses. He lets the words sink in. And then you come along. You park in her spot. Not because you have to. Not because you have a disability. But because you didn't want to walk an extra 50 feet. Because you were wearing heels. Because you think your time is more valuable than hers. Because you think you're special. Victoria sobs. Her shoulders shake. Her lawyer puts a hand on her arm, but she shrugs it off. Here's what you need to understand, Mrs. Harrington. You're not special. You're lucky. There's a difference. You were born into a wealthy family. That's luck. You married a man with power. That's luck. None of that makes you better than anyone else in this room. It just makes you luckier. Judge Caprio stands up. Everyone in the courtroom straightens. This is it. This is the moment. Victoria Harrington, I find you guilty of illegal parking in a designated handicapped space. I also find you guilty of obstruction of justice for your attempts to use your husband's position to influence this case. Do you have anything to say before I pass sentence? Victoria wipes her face. Her makeup is ruined. Her perfect appearance is shattered. She looks at Elena. I'm sorry, she says. Her voice is raw. I'm so sorry. I didn't think. I didn't understand. I was selfish and cruel, and I'm sorry. Elena doesn't respond. She just looks at Victoria with those sad eyes. Judge Caprio nods. Your apology is noted. Now here is your sentence. The courtroom holds its breath. First, you will pay a fine of $2,500. $500 for the parking violation. $2,000 for the obstruction charge. This fine will be paid to the court within 30 days. Victoria nods. She expected that. She can afford it easily. Second, your driver's license is suspended for 90 days. You will not drive during this time. You will arrange for other transportation. If you are caught driving, you will face additional charges. Victoria's eyes widen. But I need to drive. I have things to do. Places to be. You should have thought of that before you broke the law, the judge says. Now you'll experience what many people with disabilities experience every day. The challenge of getting around without being able to drive. The inconvenience. The frustration. Maybe it will teach you something. Victoria opens her mouth to argue, then closes it. Third, the judge continues, you will complete 200 hours of community service. Not just any community service. You will work at St. Mary's Hospital, the same hospital where Ms. Vasquez works. You will work in the patient transport department. Do you know what that is? Victoria shakes her head. Patient transport is the department that moves patients from one area of the hospital to another. Often in wheelchairs. Often patients who can't walk. You will push wheelchairs. You will help lift patients. You will assist people with disabilities. You will do this every Saturday and Sunday for the next 25 weeks. From 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. No exceptions. No excuses. Victoria's face is white. That's 6 months. That's half a year. Yes, the judge says. It is. And you will do it under the direct supervision of Elena Vasquez. She has agreed to oversee your service. You will report to her. You will follow her instructions. You will learn from her example. Elena looks surprised. Then she nods. A small smile appears on her face. The first one all day. But that's not all, Judge Caprio says. You will also write a letter of apology. A real one. Not something your lawyer writes. Not something typed on a computer. A handwritten letter. At least 3 pages. You will explain what you did. Why it was wrong. What you learned. You will give this letter to Ms. Vasquez in person. At the hospital. In front of the staff and patients there. Victoria is shaking her head. That's humiliating. Yes, the judge agrees. It is. That's the point. You humiliated Ms. Vasquez when you took her parking spot and told her she should have gotten there earlier. Now you'll understand how that feels. There's more, the judge says. You will also create a public service announcement. A video. You will talk about disability rights. About the importance of handicapped parking spaces. About respecting people with disabilities. This video will be aired on local television stations. It will be posted on social media. It will be shown in driver's education classes throughout the state. No, Victoria says. No, that's too much. Everyone will see it. Everyone will know. Exactly, Judge Caprio says. Maybe it will prevent someone else from making the same mistake you made. And finally, the judge says you will attend a disability awareness workshop. It's a full-day program. 8 hours. You will learn about the Americans with Disabilities Act. You will learn about the challenges people with disabilities face. You will hear from people who live with disabilities every day. You will complete this workshop within 60 days. The judge sits back down. He looks tired. Mrs. Harrington, let me be very clear. If you fail to complete any part of this sentence, you will face jail time. 30 days in county lockup. No bail. No exceptions. Do you understand? Victoria can barely speak. Yes. Do you understand? The judge asks again louder. Yes, Your Honor. Victoria's voice is broken. Good. Judge Caprio picks up his gavel. This court is adjourned. But before he can bang the gavel, Victoria collapses. Not physically. Emotionally. She bends forward. Her head goes down to the table. Sobs rack her body. Real sobs. Deep ones. The kind that come from somewhere inside you can't fake. Her lawyer tries to comfort her. Mrs. Harrington, it's okay. We can appeal. We can. No, Victoria says through her tears. No appeals. I deserve this. I deserve all of it. Elena wheels herself closer. People watch. Nobody knows what will happen. Elena stops next to Victoria. She reaches out. She puts her hand on Victoria's shoulder. Victoria looks up. Her face is destroyed. Makeup everywhere. Eyes red and swollen. I'm so sorry, she whispers. I'm so sorry. Elena is quiet for a moment. Then she says, I believe you. And I forgive you. But you need to do the work. You need to learn. You need to change. Victoria nods. I will. I promise I will. Judge Caprio watches this moment. His eyes are wet. He blinks quickly. The bailiff steps forward. All rise. Everyone stands. Judge Caprio leaves the courtroom. The case is over. But the story isn't. 10 weeks later, a different scene. St. Mary's Hospital. 7 a.m. on a Saturday morning. Victoria Harrington walks through the employee entrance. She's not wearing Chanel anymore. She's wearing plain blue scrubs. The hospital uniform. Her hair is pulled back in a simple ponytail. No diamond earrings. No fancy jewelry. Just a name tag that says Victoria, Community Service Volunteer. She walks to the patient transport department. Elena is already there. She's going over charts. She looks up when Victoria enters. "Good morning, Ms. Vasquez," Victoria says. Her voice is respectful. Quiet. "Good morning, Victoria," Elena responds. "Ready to work?" "Yes, ma'am." It's been 10 weeks of this. 10 weeks of early mornings. 10 weeks of pushing wheelchairs. 10 weeks of helping patients. 10 weeks of learning. The first few weeks were hard. Victoria showed up late. She complained. She didn't want to touch people. She was disgusted by the smells, the sounds, the reality of hospital work. But Elena was patient. She never yelled. She just showed Victoria what to do. Over and over. Until Victoria started to understand. By week 4, something changed. Victoria met a patient named Mr. Chun. He was 78 years old. He'd had a stroke. He couldn't speak clearly. He couldn't walk. Victoria was assigned to take him to physical therapy. "Hello, Mr. Chun," Victoria said. It was what she'd been taught to say. "I'm Victoria. I'm going to take you to PT now." Mr. Chun looked up at her. His eyes were watery, confused, scared. Victoria felt something in her chest. A tightness. She knelt down next to his wheelchair. "It's okay," she said softly. "I've got you. I'll get you there safely." Mr. Chun smiled. A lopsided smile because of a stroke. But a real smile. When Victoria got into physical therapy, she watched. She wasn't supposed to. She was supposed to go back and get the next patient. But she stayed. She watched Mr. Chun struggle to stand. She watched him try to take one step. Just one. He fell. The therapist caught him. Victoria's eyes filled with tears. She thought about her text message. The one from January. LOL. Like I care. She felt sick. By week 7, Victoria wasn't just doing her job. She was learning everyone's names. She was asking about their families. She was staying late to help. Not because she had to, because she wanted to. Now in week 10, Victoria knows the hospital like the back of her hand. She knows which elevator is fastest. She knows which patients need gentle handling. She knows which ones like to talk and which ones prefer silence. "We have a busy day today," Elena says. She hands Victoria a list. 15 patients need transport. Can you handle it? Victoria looks at the list. It's long. It'll take all day. "Yes, ma'am. I can handle it." Elena studies her. "You've changed," she says. "It's not a question." Victoria meets her eyes. "I have. Because of you. Because of this." "Not because of me," Elena says. "Because you chose to learn. You could have done this with a bad attitude. You could have counted down the hours until you were done. But you didn't. You opened your heart." Victoria's eyes get wet. "I didn't understand. I really didn't. I thought I was just parking in a spot. But it was so much more than that. It was respect, dignity, kindness, all the things I never thought about." Elena nods. "And now you know." "Now I know," Victoria agrees. They work side by side all day. Victoria pushes wheelchair after wheelchair. She helps patients transfer from beds to chairs. She talks to them, listens to their stories, laughs with them, cries with them. At 2 p.m., they take a break. They sit in the hospital cafeteria. Victoria eats a sandwich from the vending machine. Elena drinks coffee. "I have something for you," Victoria says. She reaches into her bag. She pulls out an envelope. "I finished it." Elena opens the envelope. Inside is a letter. Handwritten. For pages. Victoria's handwriting is neat. Careful. Every word chosen with thought. Elena reads it slowly. The letter tells the whole story. From Victoria's perspective. It talks about her privilege. Her selfishness. Her transformation. It apologizes. Really apologizes. Not just "I'm sorry." But "I'm sorry because I hurt you. I'm sorry because I didn't see you as a person. I'm sorry because I thought I was more important than you. I was wrong. I will never be that person again." When Elena finishes, she folds the letter carefully. "Thank you," she says. Her voice is thick with emotion. "This means more than you know." I mean every word, Victoria says. And I want to do more. After my 200 hours are done, I want to keep volunteering. Maybe 1 day a week. If you'll let me. Elena smiles. I'd like that. 15 weeks pass. Victoria has completed all her hours. Today is her final day. But it's also a special day. Judge Caprio has called a review hearing. Victoria must come back to court. She must show proof that she completed everything. Victoria enters the courtroom. She's wearing jeans and a simple sweater. Nothing fancy. Nothing expensive. She carries a folder. Inside are signed documents. Hours logged. Tasks completed. Letters of recommendation from hospital staff. Judge Caprio is already at the bench. Mrs. Harrington, welcome back. Thank you, Your Honor. Victoria's voice is steady. Come. I've received reports about your community service. All positive. Your supervisor, Ms. Vasquez, says you've exceeded expectations. Is she here today? I am, Your Honor. Elena wheels into the courtroom. She's smiling. Ms. Vasquez, thank you for coming. Can you tell the court about Mrs. Harrington's performance? Elena takes a breath. Your Honor, I didn't know what to expect when Victoria started. I was angry. I didn't want to supervise her. I thought she'd show up, do the minimum, and leave. But I was wrong. She looks at Victoria. Victoria worked hard. Really hard. She learned every patient's name. She stayed late when we were short-staffed. She comforted patients who were scared. She made a real difference. Judge Caprio nods. Mrs. Harrington, what did you learn? Victoria stands. Your Honor, I learned that I was living in a bubble. I thought my life was the only life that mattered. I thought my time was more valuable than other people's time. I was wrong. I learned that everyone has a story. Everyone has struggles. Everyone deserves respect and dignity, no matter who they are or what they have. In the parking spot, the judge asks, do you understand now why those spaces are protected? Yes, Victoria says. Her voice cracks. I understand completely. Those spaces aren't just convenient spots closer to the door. They're lifelines. They're dignity. They're the difference between being able to go to a doctor's appointment or not, between being independent or not. I took that away from Ms. Vasquez, and I'm sorry every single day. Judge Caprio leans back. I've also seen your public service announcement. It's been viewed over 2 million times online. I've received letters from people all over the country, parents of children with disabilities, veterans, elderly people. They've all written to thank you, to say your video made a difference. Victoria looks surprised. I didn't know that. You started something, the judge says. A conversation. About privilege. About disability rights. About doing better. That's powerful. He looks at his papers. Then back at Victoria. I'm satisfied that you've completed all requirements of your sentence. Your license will be reinstated as of today. Your probation is ended. Your case is closed. Victoria lets out a breath she didn't know she was holding. However, Judge Caprio continues, I want to say one more thing. Victoria, you came into my courtroom thinking you were untouchable. You thought money and power put you above the law. You were wrong. But you learned. You changed. That's rare. Many people in your position never learn. They pay their fines and go back to their old lives. But you didn't. You opened your heart. You became a better person. I'm proud of you. Victoria's eyes fill with tears. Thank you, Your Honor. Don't thank me, he says. Thank Ms. Vasquez. She's the one who taught you. Victoria turns to Elena. Thank you. For everything. For your patience. Your kindness. Your grace. I don't deserve it, but I'm grateful for it. Elena wheels forward. She extends her hand. Victoria takes it. They shake. Then, unexpectedly, Elena pulls Victoria into a hug. Victoria hugs her back. Both women are crying. The people in the courtroom are crying too. A woman in the back dabs her eyes with a tissue. A man clears his throat loudly. Even the bailiff blinks rapidly. Judge Caprio bangs his gavel gently. Case closed. The story spreads. Local news picks it up. Then national news. The video of Victoria's breakdown in court goes viral. Millions of views. Thousands of comments. Some people are angry. They think Victoria got off too easy. Others are inspired. They see the transformation. The change. Victoria's life is different now. Her friends don't call anymore. Most of them thought she was crazy for going through with the sentence. For not appealing. for not using her husband's connections to make it disappear. But Victoria doesn't miss them. She realizes they weren't real friends. Her husband, the governor, stands by her. He's proud of her. He tells her so. "You did something I couldn't do," he says one night. "You admitted you were wrong. You changed. That takes real strength." Victoria volunteers at the hospital every Saturday. Just like she promised Elena. She's not required to anymore. But she wants to. She's found purpose there. Meaning. She also starts a foundation. The Elena Vasquez Disability Rights Foundation. It raises money to improve accessibility in public spaces, to build more handicapped parking spots, to educate people about disability rights. Elena serves on the board. At the foundation's first fundraiser, Victoria gives a speech. She tells her story. The whole story. The parking spot. The court case. The community service. The transformation. When she finishes, the room is silent. Then someone starts clapping. Then another person. Then everyone. A standing ovation. Elena is in the front row. She's clapping too. Tears stream down her face. But they're happy tears. Back in Providence, Judge Frank Caprio sits in his chambers. It's late. Everyone has gone home. He's alone with his thoughts. He thinks about Victoria Harrington. About how she walked into his courtroom with such arrogance. Such entitlement. He thinks about how she left changed. Transformed. Not every case ends this way. Most don't. Most people pay their fines and leave. They don't learn. They don't change. But every once in a while, something special happens. Someone really hears the message. Someone really transforms. Judge Caprio picks up a pen. He writes a note in Victoria's file. Defendant showed genuine remorse. Completed all requirements. Continues to volunteer. Recommend case be sealed after 5 years if no further violations. He closes the file. He puts it in the cabinet. Then he turns off the light and goes home. 1 year later, Victoria receives a letter. It's from a woman in Ohio. The woman writes about how she saw Victoria's public service announcement, how it made her think about her own behavior, how she'd been parking in handicapped spots for years because it was convenient, how she stopped after seeing Victoria's video, how she's now volunteering at a disabilities resource center in her city. Victoria reads the letter 3 times. Then she pins it to the bulletin board in her home office. It's the first of many. Letters come from all over. From people who were touched by her story. People who changed their behavior. People who started treating others with more respect. Victoria answers every single letter. Handwritten responses. She thanks them. Encourages them. Tells them change is possible. One letter comes from a teenager in Florida. She writes, "I saw your video in driver's ed class. At first, I thought you were just some rich lady who got caught. But then I really listened. I have a brother with cerebral palsy. He uses a wheelchair. I never thought about how hard it is for him to find parking. Now I do. Now I see him. Really see him. Thank you for helping me be a better sister." That letter makes Victoria cry. She frames it. It hangs in her bedroom. She reads it every morning. The changes aren't just personal. They're systemic too. Because of the attention Victoria's case received, the state passes new laws. Stricter penalties for handicapped parking violations. More enforcement. More education. The Brighton Medical Plaza adds 3 more handicapped spots. Other businesses follow suit. Parking lots across the state add accessibility features. Curb cuts. Ramps. Better signage. At St. Mary's Hospital, the patient transport department gets more funding. More staff. Better equipment. Elena is promoted to director. She hires more people. Trains them. Makes sure every patient is treated with dignity and respect. Victoria is there to see it all. She's still volunteering every Saturday. She's pushed thousands of wheelchairs now. Helped thousands of patients. Each one teaches her something new. One Saturday, she's assigned to transport a young woman. The woman is 25 years old. She was in a motorcycle accident. She's paralyzed from the waist down. She's angry. Bitter. She doesn't want to be in a wheelchair. She doesn't want to need help. Victoria understands. She wheels the young woman to physical therapy. "I know it's hard," Victoria says softly. "I know you're angry. You don't know anything," the woman snaps. "You can walk. You're fine." Victoria stops the wheelchair. She kneels down. "You're right. I can walk. I'm lucky. But I do know something about losing everything. About having to start over. About learning to live a different life." She tells the young woman her story. About the parking spot. The court case. The transformation. I'm not comparing my situation to yours, Victoria says. What you're going through is so much harder. But I learned that sometimes we need to hit rock bottom before we can build ourselves back up. And when we do build ourselves back up, we're stronger than we were before. The young woman listens. She doesn't say anything, but Victoria can see something shift in her eyes. 3 months later, Victoria sees the same young woman in the hallway. She's pushing her own wheelchair now, moving confidently. She sees Victoria and waves. "Thank you," the woman calls out, "for what you said that day. It helped." Victoria waves back. Her heart feels full. In the courthouse, Judge Caprio receives an award. The Disability Rights Coalition honors him for his work. For cases like Victoria Harrington's. For treating everyone equally. For using his position to teach and transform. At the ceremony, he gives a short speech. "I'm just one judge in one courtroom. But I believe justice should do more than punish. It should educate. It should rehabilitate. It should make us all better. The Victoria Harrington case showed me that transformation is possible. Even for people who seem unreachable. We just have to give them a chance. And hold them accountable." The audience applauds. Victoria is in the audience. So is Elena. They sit together. Friends now. Real friends. Time passes. 2 years. 3. 5. Victoria's foundation grows. It's funded major projects in 7 states. Built hundreds of new accessible parking spots. Funded disability awareness programs in schools. Provided grants to people with disabilities who need vehicle modifications. Victoria speaks at conferences, universities, high schools. She tells her story over and over. Never tired of it. Never embarrassed. She owns it. All of it. The good and the bad. At one university speech, a student asks, "Do you ever regret what happened? Do you wish you'd just paid the fine and moved on?" Victoria thinks about it. "No," she says. "I regret what I did. I regret hurting Elena. I regret being so selfish and blind. But I don't regret the consequences. They changed my life. They made me see what really matters. If I just paid the fine, I'd still be that same person. Entitled. Ignorant. Empty. Now I have purpose. Now I have real friends. Now I understand what it means to be human." The student nods. The whole room is silent. Elena retires from nursing after 33 years. Her body can't handle the physical demands anymore. But she doesn't stop working. She becomes a full-time advocate. She speaks alongside Victoria. 2 women. 1 story. Different perspectives. Same message. At Elena's retirement party, Victoria gives a speech. "Elena Vasquez saved my life," she says. "Not in a medical way, but in every other way that matters. She could have hated me. She had every right to. Instead, she taught me. She showed me grace. She made me better. I will spend the rest of my life trying to be worthy of her forgiveness." Elena hugs her. "You already are," she whispers. "The legacy of that one parking spot, that one confrontation, that one court case, it ripples outward, further and further, touching lives, changing hearts, creating understanding." In driver's education classes across the country, teachers show Victoria's public service announcement. They discuss it. What went wrong? What changed? Why it matters? In law schools, professors use Judge Caprio's sentencing as a teaching tool. How to balance punishment with rehabilitation. How to use the bench as a platform for education. In disability advocacy groups, Elena and Victoria are invited as speakers. They tell their story together. The pain, the anger, the forgiveness, the transformation, the friendship. 10 years after the incident, Victoria and Elena write a book together. It's called The Parking Spot, A Story of Privilege, Pain, and Redemption. It becomes a bestseller. All proceeds go to disability rights organizations. In the book's introduction, Victoria writes, "I was 38 years old when I parked in that handicapped spot. I thought I knew everything. I knew nothing. That single decision led to the most painful and most important experience of my life. It broke me. Then it rebuilt me into someone better. Someone I'm proud to be." Elena writes the afterword. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It means choosing to see the person, not just their mistake. Victoria made a terrible choice. But she owned it. She learned from it. She became an advocate and a friend. That's what redemption looks like. In Providence Municipal Court, Judge Frank Caprio still hears cases. He's older now, grayer, but still sharp, still kind, still firm when he needs to be. Sometimes, when he has a particularly difficult case, he thinks about Victoria Harrington, about how transformation is possible, about how justice should always leave room for growth. He tells young judges, don't just punish. Teach. Give people a chance to be better. Most will waste it, but some won't. And those are the ones who make this job worthwhile. The parking spot at Brighton Medical Plaza has a plaque now. It was Elena's idea. The plaque reads, reserved for people with disabilities. Please respect this space. It's more than a parking spot. It's dignity. Below that, in smaller letters, in memory of a case that changed hearts. Thousands of people park there every year. Most don't notice the plaque, but some do. They read it. They think about it. They remember to be more careful, more considerate, more human. And that's the real story. Not just about a governor's wife and a parking spot. Not just about a judge and a sentence. But about all of us. About how we treat each other. About how we use our privilege. About how we respond when we make mistakes. About whether we choose to grow or stay the same. Money can buy many things. It can buy designer clothes and fancy cars. It can buy influence and comfort. But it cannot buy character. It cannot buy compassion. It cannot buy the kind of change that matters. And in Judge Frank Caprio's courtroom, it definitely cannot buy justice. The lesson is simple but powerful. We're all equal under the law. We're all responsible for our actions. And we all have the capacity to change. If we choose to. If we're brave enough. If we're humble enough. Victoria Harrington was brave enough. And that made all the difference.